Welcome to Game Set Matchup, the podcast where we talk everything partnerships, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hello, everyone. On this week's partnerships Game Set Matchup podcast, we spoke to Theo Burns, who is from a company called Excellent Zephyr. So they're looking to create partnerships in the retail space. So it's a great episode. Have a listen and see if there's anything that they could offer you within that sector. If not, it's still a great listen, and it's good to get some views from somebody who's just got into a sort of partnerships role and sort of his experience so far. Talk about a bit about his sort of previous background, which was in sort of sport and coaching, and he talks about how he's used some of that experience in helping how he manages teams and sort of people in his new sort of partnership role, and also about how Excellent Zephyr will be sort of looking to grow next year in 2023. So again, as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode. Okay, welcome to Game Set Matchup. So this is our podcast where we get to discuss all things partnerships. So I'm your host, Carl Busby, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Azara Mogul.
Yep, hi guys.
And so, please welcome our guest today. So it's Theo Burns, and he is the head of partnerships at Excellent Zephyr. Hello and welcome, Theo.
Hello, everyone. I was told I should make the joke first thing about the little cupboard I'm in. Get that out the way. No, apologies for the lighting, but I'm in a co-work, so love it. Thanks for having me on.
No, thanks very much for coming on. It's been brilliant. And we should just know as well that you are in a little cubbyhole, but you are in Barcelona. So
also, I'm in Barcelona, traveling back a fair bit at the moment to London, where our company is based, to attend as many events as possible.
Yes, absolutely. And brilliant. So I was just saying, what's the weather there like at the moment? Though? So obviously we always have this imagine that it's going to be like nice and sunny, but is it actually sunny?
It's a little bit too cold for me. Okay. To be honest, I'm definitely acclimatized to the warmth, but I believe London sort of has a couple of degrees drop on us still, so I can't really complain.
Okay. So, not swimming wear attire quite. I think
definitely not.
Cool. All right, brilliant. So we'd like to usually just start off, get to a little bit, know a little bit more about yourself. So it'd be brilliant if you could just tell us a little bit more about sort of your background, what your current role. Like I said, what is Excellent Zephyr all about?
Sweet. So I'll start with Excellent Zephyr. What we do is basically NetSuite implementation, admin services. For anyone that doesn't know, NetSuite is an ERP, enterprise resource planning tool, we would essentially implement that for retailers, particularly in fashion cosmetics, so the use cases we have at the moment, and then integrate other solutions through partnerships in the most part into their tech stack. My role within the company is nothing technical, so please don't take me down that path. But I just basically talk to people and try and create a game plan for how we can get them involved. Like I say, with other tech partners, for example, is a big part of what I do.
Okay, no, that's brilliant. So you just touched on it. You said so. Is it it's primarily sort of the retail sector that you guys sort of help out? Yeah.
Definitely. So we're working with a couple of customers at the moment. Just name drop them, why not? Trini London, sort of do cosmetics. Gym Plus Coffee in Ireland is like athleisure brand, which is pretty cool. And Aldo as well, the footwear brands. So that's sort of a broad overview of who we're working with at the minute. But doesn't mean that we couldn't sort of take on any other retail focused company outside of those verticals. It's just sort of they're the use cases that we have at the minute.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we'll touch on obviously a bit later in terms about how the sort of partnership work. But I think obviously it's just good to just get a good bit of background there in terms of like what your sort of focus is. Obviously at the moment, because again, we want our listeners to know a bit more sort of about. So I'll let Zara ask you the next question.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask, how have you seen Excellent Zephyr's approach change to creating partnerships in the recent time? What does a gold star partnership look like for the company?
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, I joined the company sort of almost a year ago now. And when I started, we actually had pretty much no focus on partnerships. So it's something that we have been building out over the last coming up year, like I say, 6-9 months. And at the beginning, it was very much like casting a wide net, seeing what was out there. For me, coming into ecom as a new industry, I should have said before, I was like working in sports before this. And so coming in, it was very much about understanding like what's out there, who could we potentially work with, going to like events like RX, for example, was one of my first big ones, of just going around every single stall and being like, okay, give me a pitch. What do you do? And then formulating in my mind, is there anything we can work together on? Whereas now it's very much more like specific. We've got, I would say, pretty much everything we need, but we're like able to segment it a bit more to be like, okay, we need a specific partner who does this function. It could come about through a customer asking us for something as a trusted advisor kind of thing, or just like, okay, there's X, Y, and Z that we haven't quite covered yet, and it could be a hypothetical. So that's really interesting. The second part of the question was about like gold partner. I think it's just someone that would do stuff with us all the time, keen to do stuff, because like for us, NetSuite is a long sales process. So it's very much about keeping that relationship warm, them not giving up on us keeping in touch with them, keeping them updated with, okay, what potential leads do we have that we can go after together, and just like adding steps every sort of month, because it can take a lot of time to land a first deal together.
Absolutely. No, brilliant. Well, you touched on a couple of points there, which I was going to say, like, I mean, just, with our, obviously the current climate and stuff in terms of how things are, this is why, obviously what we do, obviously with partnerships, we think this is like just such a massive, massive thing, at the moment. I think a lot of businesses, all different sorts of sectors are sort of, looking to, build some sort of partnerships together. I mean, you've got massive brands, obviously, that do this stuff as well. So, like I said, obviously at Find, this is what we're all about. Obviously, we're trying to, help people obviously find, those partnerships with each other. And so just obviously you touched there, as you said, you obviously going to like, network events, that kind of stuff. What sort of, other tools or other things, have you sort of been able to do, so in the year you've been there, sort of in terms of like, how to go about sort of finding those, those sort of partnerships?
I think LinkedIn obviously is a massive tool. You have people coming into the inbox all the time, and it's just about sort of filtering them, I guess, because you get a lot of crap there as well, to be honest, like a lot of sales stuff, which is not my thing. I'm not into that. Like I said, I'm very much into sort of seeing someone face to face if I can, and developing like a plan there and then of like, okay, this is how it might work. Let's think on our feet, rather than just like get hit with a pitch and try and set up a call kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and from there, our sort of process turns into like doing their partner enablement. I think that's like a massive part of it, because once they reach out to you, if you're like, okay, we're going to do this, it's very much understanding what they do. Mm-hmm. And we do a lot of lunch and learns with our partners. So that's definitely something that I know is hot at the minute, especially people are trying to get back in front of people. So bringing in a pizza and just chatting about, how can we build this out together? I think with our sales teams, especially, like how are we going to actually sell this, I think is important. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think pizza can always help in a lot of situations when you're brainstorming and trying to do stuff together. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, obviously, again, this is why one of the things that at Finder we're trying to help, like you said, cut through the noise. Obviously, everyone on here, like I said, are vetted decision makers. We people are upfront about what it is that they're obviously looking to do. But yeah, like I said, yeah, it makes a big difference. I'm going to let obviously Zara ask the next question, even though you're a pretty young guy, but like I said, I'm going to let Zara ask the question.
Okay, now for everyone listening, what advice would you give your younger self starting out and like stepping into your role? What do you think the do's and don'ts of partnership creation and development?
Yeah, I think looking back, even within like the last year, obviously switching into a new industry and having to sort of hit the ground running, one thing I would say looking back is to have a plan for every single call. I think because we cast the net so wide at the beginning, it was easy to get into this habit of everyone wants to partner. It's really easy. You just get on a call, sort of talk about what you do, and it will sort of fall in place because we had the luxury of that. We have a really good product in NetSuite. People want to work with us. And it was just like rolling. Any time I got on a call, I was like, oh, this is easy. Like I just chat about what we do, and people are like, this is what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. But then I guess once or twice, I guess, got caught out from that, right? You just go in with not too much of a plan, and some of the bigger potential partners as well, they're like, what are they really going to gain from it? Do you know what I mean? Because like I said earlier, I don't know if I did say it, we have like not too many clients to just go like shopping around to all our partners, and that's not how we want to do it anyway. So we have to find different ways of like offering value to them that aren't just like, oh, I don't know, referring a customer to them. Like we try and do that through co-marketing, meeting like face-to-face as much as possible. And the key part that I would say I missed once or twice was like having a very specific strategic proposition for them of how we can develop a solution. And that's something that I think with bigger companies in particular is super important. Like you have to come in all guns blazing with, this is what I want to do. This is how we're going to do it. This is what it need investment from you guys, and not necessarily money, but like time from your sales team to enable us or whatever it may be. So everything's out there from the beginning. And then I guess I touched on before, like we didn't necessarily know exactly what we were going after. And that's something I would have probably liked to have a better idea of. And that comes with experience. For me, I didn't have heaps of experience in the industry. So I think the way I did it was perfect, particularly with the help of the people around me that did have that experience. But if I could go back and with what I know now, I think I would very clearly segment who I'm trying to talk to from the beginning. And I've got all that sorted 6 months down the track, and trying to plug those gaps. But definitely at the beginning, it would have been maybe useful to have set that out for myself of, okay, I want to speak to a shipping solution, for example, and find the best one and fill that gap. I need a WMS, a 3PL, and fill that gap rather than just being like, okay, everyone speak to me and I'll figure out as I go. Both work, but I just think knowing what I know now, it's working for us really well in that way now.
No, makes sense. Again, just touching on that. I mean, we asked that question because obviously everyone, can do things better in hindsight. That's the obvious, obvious thing. But for people listening, maybe it might just help somebody out. Having who's just getting into partnerships like yourself. Like I said, having that type of having a bit of a plan in place, like you said, maybe not just doing it so sort of gun ho, I think is really, really good advice. So that's great. Just touch on that. So obviously you said it's a new sort of role coming into, and obviously you've been there for a year. So obviously your experience of the partnerships role that you've been doing sort of so far, would you have any sort of tips, top tips around sort of creating high performing teams? Because obviously you obviously are within partnerships, but like everything in the world, you need a good team around you to be able to execute stuff. Do you have any sort of tips around how you can get high performing teams? I'm guessing pizza's going to be in there somewhere, but I'm going to give you the floor.
Yeah, just give everyone pizza and they'll be friends with you is my first. I think I can actually apply like previous experience to this a lot. Like I said, I worked in sports, and that's all about, like, I was coaching football, and it's all about like creating a high performing team, right? And I think a lot of the same skills apply to partnerships within a business sense. And I think it's something that the team I walked into had set up like really, really well. So shout out to them, because Ian and the crew, I think it's a really good environment that we're working in here at Excellent Zephyr. But I think an important part is, and I would say the exact same in football, is that everyone plays their role. But more than that, everyone knows what everyone else is doing. Like, you can come into situations where you might do your role really, really well. It might be super clear from the job brief, but you might not know who's doing what elsewhere or whatever. And I think, one thing that has come out for us in the last couple of months has been knowing who's talking to who, for example. And I think mixing of the and having a clear conversation and communication between the sales and partnerships team is so important, because we might bring in a lead, and it's at what point do you give up control, if you like, of that? Or does the sales team know that I just sent an email to them, and is he going to send one which is going to just annoy them, And I think having that clear communication is super important. And then one other thing that we do, which helps a lot, I would say, to empower like everyone in the team, is like a weekly all team call.
Okay.
It's difficult, obviously, because not every team is going to be as small as ours or remote. You might have to get everyone into the office or whatever it may be. But I think it's really helped other areas of the business, like the sales team or marketing or even the services team, just sort of put ideas out on the table, update everyone of what they're doing, which helps with the previous point. But also like they might have an idea of who we should be partnering with. And that literally happened last week for me. It's like I've been so focused on X, Y, and Z that someone said, did you think about it like this? Or have you thought about partnering with someone that does this exact thing? It's like, no, actually I hadn't. Talk me through it in front of everyone and we can bounce ideas off. And it's like, I ended up walking away from that, like probably should have been on that kind of thing, you know? Yeah. But it's good. And I think having everyone able to speak openly about like what they're doing and give ideas that will help other parts of the business is super cool.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think, yeah, we take that on board as a lot of stuff we do at Finder. I mean, clear lines, of communication and just like you said, same with us, whether it be with the sales team or whoever. I think sometimes you're so embroiled in what you're doing. You just I need to get this done. I need to be done by the end of the week. I've got to work on this stuff. You forget to talk to the other people. And it said there's a lot of important information sometimes, or there's little tidbits you think, yeah, okay, that could have helped if I'd have actually had that conversation sort of thing. So yeah, no, really, I think
to add on to that, actually, Carl, like it just sort of, I'm going to bring the sports thing back into it again. Yeah. Like I always think about it. And one of my mentors when I was coaching said to me, like, it would be really cool to get a rugby coach to walk into an American football team and just be like, why do you do it like this? Like, for example, in American football, everyone runs ahead of the ball, but you're actually allowed to pass it back, right? Like they do in rugby. So what if everyone just lined up in a line and the other team was like, oh crap, what's happening? And you just passed it sideways kind of thing, right? And no one thinks of that because they're just so focused on this is how American football is played. You get as far as you can by passing forward. But if someone walked in and said, have you actually thought about this? It could be really interesting to them. So I think it's super important to have that communication and different perspective for sure.
Yep. No, but I'm loving the football analogy though. So cool.
And to round us off, one last question. What does the future hold for businesses when it comes to creating partnerships with each other? What, if anything, will you and Excellent Zephyr be trying to do different?
Yeah. I think first of all, one thing like feedback that we're getting and also what I'm seeing is like no one really cares so much for referrals anymore, or like doesn't really want to, like I said, hear about it as much, particularly like if they're not so lucrative. I mean, we're in a fortunate position where an NetSuite deal is worth a certain amount, right? It's quite expensive, which means that a referral to someone who gives us an intro is going to make a difference to them. But for the most part, actually, if you just go around shopping or like a 10% of your £100 subscription, it's like not really going to change anything for business. And like I said before, people want value in other ways anyway. So I think definitely the future of partnerships or whatever is going to move way away from that. People just don't want to keep themselves open to referral, particularly like agencies. It's like they've heard it enough, I think, and just sort of move in another direction and adding value in other ways. One thing I think people should be doing is like mixing the sales and partnerships teams more and more, I think. Like at the end of the day, it's all well and good if I speak with a partner and know exactly what they do. But if I'm not on the phone to a potential prospect who could work for them, even if they don't even end up taking up our services, our sales team needs to know exactly who we're working with and how to sell their product, or at least making it a warm introduction for them, I think. But yeah, specifically on Excellent Zephyr's side, all that we're going to really do differently next year is more events, like not just attending. We're going to put on a couple for ourselves. And that does tie in with the like sales partnership thing linking up, because at the end of the day, partners want to get in front of merchants. So we need to find a way to add value for our partners by getting merchants to events, for example, but also add value for them so that they want to come. So, and when I speak about merchants, I mean, specifically for us, it's retailers, right? So, I think we're definitely planning a couple of events next year with partners and trying to really add value for retailers to come along where it doesn't seem like they're just going to get swamped by our partners, but at the same time, it is open chance for them to chat. So I think that's sort of the next 12 months. I think we'll really focus there.
Yeah.
And I think plus Finder, we're recently on Finder. And yeah, I think that I think it's a really good tool, genuinely. So we'll be using that a lot more. We've got a few different, like I said, more specific things that we're looking for in a partnership. So if you do think you'd be a good suit for us, obviously find our profile on Finder.
Absolutely. And I always say, I didn't pay you anything to say that, but that is you ended that wonderfully there. So yeah, obviously if anyone's listening and they think that it could be a good fit, absolutely something to find out. Just touching what you said there about the obviously doing more of the networking events, that kind of stuff. I think that, it's spot on, and being able to see people and talk to people sort of face to face makes such a difference. Obviously we're doing a similar thing ourselves. We've got our Finder Collect event coming up next week.
I'll be there
as a member. You are invited to as well. So which is going to be great. So 100%. I think those definitely make a big difference to everyone. Listen, been great talking to you. We've come to the end. I think again, just really good just to get a good understanding of what it is. Obviously you guys are trying to do over there at Excellent Zephyr. Obviously we're going to help out as much as we can. Like I said, just really appreciate you coming on, taking the time, come and speak to us.
No, I really appreciate it, guys. Thanks very much, and I'll be seeing you next week at that event.
Absolutely. Look forward to seeing you, mate. All right. Speak to you later.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks for joining this week's Game Set Matchup. Tune in to hear more about the need to knows and the do's and don'ts when it comes to creating successful business partnerships.